Welcome to Life Confusions TV. Try to relax and feel the story.
I always believed one simple thing: family would never betray you, especially your own mother. Growing up in a small town in Ohio, my mom was the person everyone trusted. She worked at a local bank for years and always talked about responsibility, credit scores, and financial discipline. She loved giving advice about money. Always pay your bills on time. Never take loans you can't afford. Protect your credit like your life depends on it. And for years, I followed every single one of those rules. By the time I turned 27, I had a stable job working in marketing, a small apartment, and something I was really proud of: a credit score above 780. I had never missed a payment, not once. So when the first letter from the bank arrived, I thought it had to be a mistake. The envelope said, "Final notice, payment overdue." I opened it casually, expecting some kind of error. But when I read the number on the page, my stomach dropped. $18,400. I had no idea what loan they were talking about. I called the bank immediately. "Hi," I said, trying to stay calm. "I think there's a mistake. I received a notice for a loan I never took." The woman on the phone sounded confused. "According to our records, the loan was opened 2 years ago." 2 years. I froze. "That's impossible," I said. She paused for a moment and then said something that made my chest tighten. "The loan is under your name and social security number." I felt the room spinning. "That can't be right," I whispered. But it was right, because when I logged into my credit report that night, I discovered something even worse. It wasn't one loan. There were four. Four different loans, different banks, different dates, different amounts: $32,000. $47,000, $18,000, $53,000. In total, $150,000 of debt, all under my name. And I had never seen a single dollar of it. I barely slept that night. My first thought was identity theft. Maybe someone hacked my information. Maybe someone stole my social security number. But then I noticed something strange. The mailing address used for some of the loans wasn't mine. It was my mother's house. My stomach dropped. I tried to convince myself it was coincidence. But deep down, I already knew. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house. My mom was in the kitchen drinking coffee, like any normal morning. "Hey, sweetheart," she smiled. "What brings you here so early?" I sat down at the table and placed the papers in front of her. "Do you know anything about this?" She looked at the documents. Her face changed instantly, just for a second. But I saw it. Panic. And in that moment, I knew the truth. For a few seconds, my mom didn't say anything. She just stared at the papers. Then she slowly pushed them back toward me. "I don't know what that is," she said. But her voice sounded different. Too careful. Too rehearsed. "Mom," I said quietly, "these loans are connected to your address." She laughed nervously. "Oh, honey, banks make mistakes all the time." But I had already spent hours looking through the credit reports, the signatures, the contact numbers, even the recovery email on one of the accounts. Everything pointed to one place: my parents' house. "Mom," I repeated, "this is $150,000. This time she didn't laugh. She sighed. And then she said the words I will never forget. "I was going to tell you eventually." My heart stopped. "You were what?" She rubbed her forehead, like she was the one stressed. "It's not what you think." I felt anger rising in my chest. "Then explain it." She leaned back in her chair. "Well, your father lost a lot of money during the pandemic." I blinked. "What does that have to do with my name on loans?" She avoided my eyes. "We needed help." My hands started shaking. "So you stole my identity?" Her reaction shocked me. She looked offended. "Don't say it like that." "Like what?" I snapped. "Like I'm some criminal." I stared at her. "You took $150,000 using my name." She shrugged slightly. "You have good credit." For a moment, I couldn't even speak. "You ruined my credit score," I said. She waved her hand dismissively. "You're young. You'll recover." That was the moment something inside me broke. You expect me to pay this? She finally looked at me. Well, family helps family. I laughed. But it wasn't a happy laugh. It was disbelief. You committed fraud. Her expression hardened. Oh, please. You benefited from this family your whole life. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You used my social security number. She rolled her eyes. It's not like I took the money for fun. I felt like I was talking to a stranger. Then where is the money? She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. Mom, where is it? She stood up from the table. Your brother needed help starting his business. Silence filled the kitchen. My brother, of course. My younger brother Jason had been trying to launch some kind of construction company, and apparently, my credit funded it. Let me get this straight. I said slowly. You put $150,000 of debt in my name, so Jason could start a company? She crossed her arms. He's family. I stared at her. And I'm not. She didn't answer. And in that moment, I realized something painful. To her, I wasn't the priority. I was just the credit score. I left the house shaking with anger. I spent the entire drive home thinking about everything she said. Family helps family. You're young. You'll recover. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. This wasn't just betrayal. It was fraud. And the worst part? They expected me to quietly pay for it. Over the next few days, I started investigating. Not emotionally, but logically. First, I called the banks. Every single one confirmed the same thing. The loans were legally tied to my name. But something interesting appeared in the records. The IP addresses used for the applications, the phone numbers, the email addresses, all of them led back to one person, my mother. Then I looked into Jason's company. That's when things got even more interesting, because the business had recently landed a big contract. According to public records, the company was now worth almost $400,000. And guess what funded the startup? The exact same time the loans were taken, $150,000. Suddenly, everything made sense. They didn't just take my identity. They invested my debt into his success. That night, my mom called me. Have you calmed down yet? I stayed silent. You're overreacting, she continued. We'll figure something out. I asked one question. Are you planning to pay the loans back? Silence. Then she said, well, the business still needs money right now. That was my answer. They weren't planning to repay anything. They expected me to carry the debt. For years, maybe decades. That was the moment I made my decision. The next morning, I walked into a lawyer's office. I placed all the documents on the table. The loans, the credit reports, the bank confirmations, the company records. The lawyer looked through everything quietly. Then he looked up at me. Do you want to report them? I hesitated for a moment. Reporting them meant something serious. It meant criminal charges, investigations, possibly prison, against my own mother. But then I remembered something she said. You'll recover. I looked at the lawyer. Yes. And then I said the words that would change everything. I want to report identity fraud. He nodded slowly. Then we're going to do this the right way. Within 2 weeks, the investigation started, and my family had no idea what was coming. 3 weeks later, everything exploded. My mother called me screaming. What did you do? Apparently, 2 investigators had visited their house that morning. Banks had frozen the loan accounts, and Jason's business finances were suddenly under review. You reported us? She shouted. I stayed calm. I reported fraud. You're destroying this family. No, I said quietly. You did that. She tried to threaten me. You'll regret this. But it was already too late, because investigators quickly discovered something very important. Every loan application, every digital signature, every confirmation call, all traced back to my mother. And the money trail? It went directly into Jason's company account. Within 2 months, the banks ruled the loans fraudulent, which meant something incredible happened. The $150,000 debt was removed from my credit report.
Completely.
But that wasn't the end. Because once fraud was proven, the banks demanded repayment from the people who actually used the money. My family. Jason's business was forced to sell assets. Contracts were canceled. And the company that had been worth $400,000 collapsed almost overnight. My mother called me one last time. "You ruined your brother's future." I replied calmly,
No.
"You did." Then I hung up, and for the first time in months, I felt peace. My credit score recovered within the year. I moved to a new city, started a better job, and slowly built a life that didn't depend on people who saw me as a financial resource. But sometimes I still think about that moment in the kitchen, when my mother said, "You have good credit," like that was the only thing that mattered. But in the end, that same credit score gave me something else, the power to fight back. And this time, I protected it. If you enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments. What would you do in my place? Would you forgive your family or report them like I did? And if you like stories about betrayal, money, and revenge like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel Life Confessions TV, because the next story might be even crazier.